So after my Milliput bowl video, I had a lot of questions on how to make this donut chuck. I don't usually do jig videos, but I figured I'd show you how to make this very simple jig. Don't go getting used to this. I have 2 pieces of plywood that are 12 inches square. I have 2 pieces of plywood that are 3 inches square. I have 4 1/4-20 bolts, 4 washers, and 4 1/4-20 T-nuts. All we're going to do is stick it together with some double stick tape. All right, there's my center point. And now with the bandsaw jig, my pivot point is set at 6 inches, which will give us a 12-inch circle, and the hole is just slightly larger than that point. And we got ourselves a nice circle. 2, actually. So the next thing to do is, what's the next thing to do? Okay, yeah, right. The next thing to do is to glue on these 2 small blocks of wood. So this is what's going to get held in your chuck. And it's really easy to line these up. Just make sure the corners touch all the lines. That should hold it, and it looks fabulous doing it. Been an hour or so, glue is mostly dry. We've got it clamped between centers though, so it can't go anywhere. And we're going to turn this down so that it can be held in our chuck jaws. Solid wood is probably a better choice for this than plywood. So if you want to make that change to a solid wood block here, where I've got plywood, it's probably not a bad idea. All we're going to do now is reverse this and actually hold this in the chuck jaws. And you can see it's not running perfectly true anymore. It's fine. It's not a big deal. Okay, so that's better. Now it's running true. Now a quick history lesson for those of you with memory lapse. Remember, these 2 pieces of wood are not glued together. They're just stuck together with double stick tape. So we are keeping the tailstock up. The next thing we're going to do is drill out 4 holes. We've already got lines on the back, so I'm just going to line those up at the top. But what I don't have is a common reference point on the front. You don't want the holes too close to the edge. So I'm just going to grab a pencil, I don't know, about there maybe. Hole placement is not imperative, as long as they are basically in the 4 quadrants. So the last thing to consider is how large a hole you want to make. This one has a hole 5 1/4 inches wide. If you're doing bowls with larger bottoms, then you'll want to make ones with larger holes. If you're doing vases, then you want to make one with smaller holes. You can also make multiple. Make one with 5-inch hole, make one with a 2-inch hole, make one with a 7-inch hole, depending on what you need. The only thing you'd have to do is turn a new one of these. I'm going to go with the same size as before, since that is generally what I make, are 8 to 9-inch bowls. Almost there. All right, a definite change in the sound of the cutting. Odds are we're through. Just separate this little bugger with a putty knife. Oh yeah, I see metal in there. Okay, good. So we're through. Woo, pretty close. And let's head over to the bench for some assembly. Got our two pieces. All we have to do now is assemble this thing. Super simple. Grab your T-nuts. Drive them in. Milk jug mallet is optional, but highly recommended. 1/4 bolts. I think these are 3.5 inches long. Adjust that length depending on whatever you need. Now I have seen a number of these made with wing nuts on the back, and I find that extremely annoying. I would much rather drive in the bolt like this. Okay, that's all there is to it. This is ready to use. On my last one, I used this rubber shelf liner to line it, and I used staples to hold it all in place. And I'll be honest with you, I think it slips a lot because of that. It doesn't grip very well. The purpose of that was to keep a rim from getting marred. I don't think it's necessary, but you can totally add this, but I will be leaving it off. Using this could not be simpler. Take one of your bolts out, put your bowl in the middle, center your bowl, turn the bottom. You get easy access to the bowl with no worries of it coming off the lid. Platters, bowls, spaces, whatever else you like. Now here it is, my donut chuck, and if you're a bowl turner, it is a terribly useful tool. If you have ever used coal jaws in the past, you will know that they do not always hold the bowl on securely. You do not have to worry about anything flying off with one of these. Earlier in the video, I said you might not want to use plywood for this little piece on the back. Right after I finished that last shot, I decided to sand this all up, and it sheared off and broke. It was terribly exciting. I wish I'd had it on film. It reinforced what my grandmother used to say: no one is worthless, they can always serve as a bad example. I would like to revise my previous statement. Do not use plywood. It is a horrible idea. Use a piece of hardwood. Secondly, the T-nuts, 2 of them started to come loose, so I added a dab of CA glue, super glue, and they're holding fine. Okay, so other than those 2 little modifications, a pretty simple project. Thank you very much for watching. I'll catch you guys later.